In the beginning, it was all just a bunch of defaults walking the map. For 4 seasons, it stayed that way. No story, just fun, sheer battle royale bliss. After season 3, it all changed. Throughout season 3, for weeks the map had small meteors falling from the sky, but little did the players know at the time, this was just a precursor for the real event. Season 4 struck and came in swinging with the introduction of the meteor event.
The world will never be the same. Brace for impact.
From then on, what was just a distribution center became a massive crater known as Dusty Divot. At the same time on the island, a villain base was formed. In this base was a weapon of mass destruction. If players happened to stop by the base, they would find a rocket. This rocket stayed there for the most of Season 4, but in the later half of the season, disaster struck. On June 30th, 2018, players logged in to find the rocket heading straight for one of the most beloved landmarks on the map, Tilted Towers. At this moment, hearts skipped a beat. People were in shock at this was possibly the last time they would see their favorite place intact. But in the last moment possible, it was saved! A rift appeared suddenly right above the city and sent the rocket flying in a different direction. This led to a series of chain reactions of the rocket flying all over the place, rift to rift, spot to spot, and finally the rifts ended and the rocket was sent back into the sky, leaving a fracture in the sky the size of Kentucky. It was later discovered that on the meteor from Season 3, a man known as the Visitor had landed on the island. He was first shown as part of the Season 4 Battle Pass. Alright, moving on.
The Cube. As Season 5 rolled around, players were greeted with rifts, seen from the prior season, now spawning all around the island. The rift left in the sky from the rocket had began to increase in size, cracking until finally the crack grew large enough to release a strong bolt of electricity into the middle of the desert. This powerful volt summoned a purple cube. Players were confused at first, but they decided to give it a name. Thanks to the Fortnite subreddit, it was dubbed Kevin the Cube. Throughout the season, Kevin began to roll. His movement became a daily occurrence. Finally, he reached the center of the map. After weeks of moving around, Kevin dissolved into Loot Lake, one of the central points of the map. His absorption caused the lake to become highly bouncy and became an attraction for players on the island. For many players, Season 5 was one of the best so far. As for the story of Fortnite, it was just getting started. In Season 6, Kevin rose from the lake, creating a large floating island with one house on it. Nearing the end of the season, the cube began to spin quite fast. In fact, it didn't stop spinning. This caused bursts of lightning to form, and the players were transported into an alternate universe known as the In-Between, and witnessed a singular butterfly land on their hand and sent players back to the island. A few weeks before the butterfly event, there had been a large ice cloud spotted off the coast of the map, which was seen to be moving towards the map. After Season 6 and the butterfly event, Season 7 was introduced, and the ice biome had overtaken nearly a third of the map, introducing many more landmarks to the map. One of them was Polar Peak. In Polar Peak, there was a large castle with a single throne presented at the end of the corridor. All was realized when a giant ball of ice had risen from the island that was preceded by a countdown shown on all of the TVs of the island. When the counter finally ticked down to 0, the giant ball exploded, revealing the Ice King in his true form. As the season went by, some of the ice began to melt, revealing broken chains in the dungeon of the Ice King's castle. Theorists at the time referred to him as the Prisoner. All that was known about him is that he had some sort of power that the Ice King wanted to control.
As Season 8 rolled around, a volcano was formed on half of the map. Inside of the volcano, there was a throne, the Fire King's throne. All along, the Prisoner had been the Fire King. Also, at the same time, a ragtag band of pirates began to construct camps all over the island and went to war over the island with the other two forces. The true stakes at this war were foreshadowed by the end of the season event, with a giant vault being unveiled underneath Loot Lake. This was followed up by the explosion of the volcano, exploding and destroying several locations, including the beloved Tilted Towers and Retail Row. This tragedy disappointed many players, as these were some of the most popular places to land. In order to account for this, two of the main characters in the story, Peely and Jonesy, went into hiding in a bunker. From here, the story takes a massive time skip, with the two being in this vault for so long that Jonesy ended up eating Peely as a last resort. Finally, the vault is opened by some of the island dwellers, and Peely is now in a cup. Jonesy and him are presented into a world that has moved on without them, now having replaced Tilted Towers with Neo Tilted and Retail Row with Mega Mall, both being much more modernized mega cities. The volcano is replaced with a large construction project that went on throughout the season. Near the end of the season, it became obvious what was being built. Inside of the inactive volcano was a now fully formed mech ready for a large fight. This fight soon became obvious to players as the ice at Polar Peak began to melt, revealing a large eye in the ice. It soon melted and some sort of abominable monster could be seen swimming around the map. At the end of the season, these two came to a large fight as the mech was built to protect the island. As players watched the powerful fight between the two Titan-like creatures, the monster began to do something strange. It ran for the vault that was revealed in Loot Lake and began to pull out a large sphere of energy known as the 0 Point. The mech was finally able to destroy the monster, and here's how it happened. But the damage had already been done. The 0 Point was already exposed, and its effects were able to be seen all throughout the island.
As the last season of the chapter was introduced, timelines throughout the map were ruined. The meteor from Season 4 was back, as well as many old locations on the map. Many new locations began to form as the weeks went by, with even Gotham City later replacing Neo Tilted. Finally, all events that had taken place were realized as the Visitor, the man from the meteor, placed audio logs all around the island of him trying to stop the destruction of the island. As part of his plan, he began to refer to others known as the Seven and began to build the same rocket from the earlier seasons. As the event was ready, all of time unfreeze. The meteor continued on its path towards the island. But the Visitor was prepared for this. He sent his rocket up into a rift, revealing that the Seven he had been working with also had rockets, which began to appear through other rifts on the island, and were sent to create an even bigger rift below the meteor. Then the meteor was sent through this, and a large blast was sent into the 0 Point, sending players into the air.
It's going to the Loot Lake Rift. Oh! Look at everybody. Yo! Look up, look up, look up. The comment's up. Yo, Jack. This changes everything. This changes everything. Oh, God. Oh! Dude, I'm off the map. Yeah, I'm off the map. Everybody's...
This also caused the 0 Point to destabilize and begin sucking all of the players in. Players were then left on a screen showing only the black hole for 2 days. This was the last players saw of the Chapter 1 map.